I'm here to interview Dr. Ed Colosi. He is a career theorist who I was fortunate to meet in some conversations in my own research. So I thought he would be a really great person to introduce to you all as a class. His ideas, I think, will connect with some of your values that you've started talking about on the discussion boards, and other values that come up really often for students who I work with. So this is going to be a great opportunity to learn directly from somebody who works with theory, who's really developed ideas over a long career, and I hope that you enjoy hearing his perspectives. So welcome, Ed.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. Hello, aloha. I used to live in Hawaii, so I'll say aloha to you and all your graduate students.
So to get us started, the first question that I would like to ask is for you just to give us kind of a brief overview of some of the populations you've worked with so our students know kind of who you're learning from and connecting with.
Good question. I work with a variety of students and clients. I've been working in the field, it'll be 50 years in 2018. And I worked with community college students, four-year school students in Hawaii. I did a lot of in-service training with K through 12 counselors and teachers, and did presentations for high school classes and even middle school talks. And I think did a couple of things with some kindergarten first graders about career life and things such as that. I've worked with special needs populations, people with physical challenges, learning disabled, learning challenged, rather. And over the course of my career, I've worked with corporations, some agencies, and back in Massachusetts, where I've relocated, I worked with I'm a trainer with a number of Commonwealth agencies, Department of Health and Human Services, etc. Work with people in corrections, done some workshops in the prisons, and you know, a variety of folks in transition, including couples and people having some relationship issues and things such as that.
Great. Well, thank you. It sounds like you've worked with a lot of different populations that our students might be wanting to work with. So those are all kinds of different people you've worked with, and that's one of the things that students in this class may be interested in, is like really who has careers, because some of the students are planning on working with young children, some students may be planning on working with retirees or people in corrections. So a lot of different life situations where it's a little harder to see, you know, do those people have careers? So what would you say about what kinds of people that's relevant to when we're talking about career?
Okay, so that's a great question. I'm going to screen share.
Okay.
And I'm going to screen share onto a PowerPoint.
I see it coming up now. Yep, there we go.
Good. Okay, so I'm going to talk at the same time, run through various slides in the PowerPoint. Obviously, this is a Creating Careers with Confidence overview, and it presents a strategy to help you as a graduate student to look at yourself and also your future clients with what's called career life exploration planning. And Stephanie's question focused on, what kind of people have careers. Do children have careers? People in prison. One of the things Stephanie and I talked about, what about terminally ill, or does career go beyond work and job roles? And she had learned about some of my pioneering work with career life. So I'm going to answer that question with this slideshow. And there is also a handout with the slideshow that Stephanie is making available to you. And I want to again reiterate, I'm really grateful to Stephanie for finding me, because I have found her and her amazing work with technology, and so I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you graduate students through your graduate instructor, professor here. So on the handout, you will have several sections, and there is one section on the last page or two that actually have a bibliography and relevant materials. And this next slide is not on your handout, but NCDA website is there, but these others are not, so you can look at them now and just write them down if you care to. They'll be on this PowerPoint, which which you're looking at now. So you could pause right now and write it down.
Mhm.
And one of the ones also is Clara Hill, which is not on your handout. And she's written a great graduate book for on helping skills for those of us who choose to go into the field of helping caregivers. And then there's my website, creatingcareerswithconfidence.com. It's also the title of a book that I wrote that's published by Prentice Hall. I had self-published it first. So moving right along, before we get into career, just a little comment about self-knowledge. That probably this is the most important resource people have. It's who we are, and it's getting in touch with who we really are, our true self, if you will, and not listening to the naysayers on the negative side that we often hear and that we integrate into our own belief systems, which become false belief systems. So that specialness that we all have as humans, we don't appreciate it, and we feel confused. We often wonder, who am I? What am I here to do? It gives me a measure of meaning and purpose. And most of us hear this discussion when we're young, sometimes very young, about we have to make the right choices in life, the right career choices. Most of us, I believe, from my experience and some in-depth work with clients over many years, do not take time to reflect on ourselves, the world of work, and even the meaning of career. And this can lead to confusion, frustration, even depression. So how do you define career personally? I'd like to ask each of you to just think for about 5 seconds. What's your definition of career? Okay, hopefully by now you've said it. Basically, most people, and I've been asking this question for the better part of 30, 40 years, most people define career as something to do with money. Some people say, well, it has to do with kind of you could have a calling in it, and you can have a career ladder, and it's positive, whereas when you ask people, but what does it give you? Oh, it gives you money. It's career, something I do in my work. Well, then what's work? And most people immediately say, oh, it's what I have to do tomorrow, or if they're at a workshop, or it's what I have to go back to do. In other words, most people define work as money too. And when you view career and work as money, basically money becomes very much a focus, and maybe too much focus.
I'm imagining that people can really kind of miss out on some of the valuable aspects of work and of career when they look at it as just the money, like you're saying.
Absolutely, absolutely, Stephanie. You've hit it on the head. They do miss that, and you mentioned the word values. Values is such an important part of all of this. Now, this was my view when I became a psychology major at BU, and then I went to Columbia University, got my doctorate and 2 masters, and I realized that I had the wrong view. I woke up in 1976 because I got to work in Hawaii with women in transition, where I was living at the time, and it was teaching a regular career planning course, which we've had these since probably the 60s. And in the 70s, we had a special group. The government decided to put money towards women in transition, and our college, English teacher, a professor, applied for the grant. We got it. She said, Ed, you're a career counselor. Could you do the career part of this? I said, oh, sure. So I could help these women find their calling. Women in transition in those days were called displaced homemakers because their husbands either abused them, divorced them, or maybe they became ill. So these women were left raising children and doing a lot of things, and the government said, let's help them become breadwinners. And so it was women in transition for displaced homemakers. Well, the first 2 classes, I just took notes and listened to the 15 or 16 women, my first class. And it took 2 classes of an hour and 10 minutes a class to get through just hearing their stories. They were crying, they were sharing a lot. And one of the things I learned is that they were overwhelmed. No time for this, that, or the other thing. Certainly no time for self-care, raising several children, taking care of an elderly parent. Some of them were working, just barely getting by. A lot of them did not have jobs. And most of them were between the ages of about 30, 35, and 60, 62, 63.
That's quite a range.
I'm sorry.
It's quite a range of ages.
Well, it was, yeah. And of course, I was 32, so I'm excited about helping them find their calling.
Mm.
And I went home discouraged after 2 classes because I never even got into the syllabus. I was really got down on myself, and I said, "Geez, what a lousy career counselor you are, Ed." And then on the second class, when that happened, my tail was really between my legs, and I said, "My goodness, what?" I'm feeling overwhelmed. I mean, how am I going to help these women find their calling? We haven't even got into the syllabus and 2 classes are done. And then I had the insight. None of them had talked about their work role at all, really. They were talking about feeling overwhelmed and distraught, no time for self-care, taking care of all their responsibilities, and now they have to go to school. And I suddenly realized that I had it all wrong. And I did most of my life, and certainly as a counselor, that career is not work. Career is multiple life roles. And it hit me like a lightning bolt. And I went back very much animated to the next class, and I told them, let's call this career life exploration and planning. This is all your life roles, and your mothers, and some of you ending a spouse relationship, some of you are going to be new spouses, some of you never want to see another man in your life, some of you are taking caregivers with your elderly parents as well as your children, some of you, this is the first time ever in college for all of you. So they said, yeah, that works for us. And anyway, went on, and I really opened and created a new paradigm based on my organic experience with these women. This was in 76 and 77. So actually it's 2016. It's like 40 years ago when I think about that. So yeah. Career life is multiple roles all people play. And
yeah, let me jump in for just a second on that idea of your labeling of it as career life. So for the students, you may be familiar with Donald Super's theory, and actually Ed was coming up with this right before Donald Super published on life career. So these are very intertwined sort of ideas that when you're thinking about multiple theories, you can see how they kind of converge on certain ideas to kind of validate each other. So just to kind of put that in perspective of some other things that are coming up in the course for the students.
Well, yeah, thank you, Stephanie. I actually, Don published his in 1980, and he was kind of retiring away, although I don't think he ever retired, even wanted to, but he became aware of that people in the 60s, and he started, that was his impetus for looking at life, career, and all those kinds of things. And he used a rainbow model. I had never seen it, had never met him, hadn't read the journals, and someone discovered my work, and Joanne Bowlesby did actually in 1981, a year after Don published it. And I had been working on this in 76, 77. And I think when I met her, I had used pyramid models, and I told her my career life pyramid model. And then she said, you need to meet Don. He needs to meet you. And then we became friends and colleagues for a while afterwards until he passed on. So, but thanks for putting that in. So anyway, the traditional view is still predominant. And less awareness is focused because we look at career as money, and we all do it in our schools, our graduate schools. We don't really do it sufficiently to talk about career life to K through 12 and adults and graduate students. And because of that, less awareness is focused on the other life roles that need attention. And in a client's life, they're already dealing and overwhelmed with interpersonal conflicts within themselves and intrapersonal among other people. This affects all the life roles, and it just makes things kind of murky, and we all feel that time constraint. Mm-hmm. So with increased attention to all life roles, using career life, in the context of paid work, interpersonal, intrapersonal conflicts can be reduced and kind of transform conflict into balance. You can identify the different roles, realize, oh, I'm playing these roles. And then you can put them together in a collage that matches what's important to you. Stephanie mentioned values. And it's interesting, Stephanie does some real exciting work using collages, right, Stephanie? And
yeah.
and getting people to express their inner feelings from that. And basically, when I heard that, I'm thinking, oh, there's a woman after my own heart. This is like very exciting, a young graduate student doing that. And so this is, we really kind of, our values about work and career and how to help a client just seem to come together in a powerful way. So it's a real honor to speak to her class and to work with her like this.
Thank you. Yeah, this is actually what helped me connect with Ed. Was I was looking into some of his research into values as a foundation for something I'm working on with the values collage. And so for students who are in my class, there are connections on our class website for you to be able to actually work through that process of the values collage and experience that. So thank you for the nod, Ed.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. So one role only provides income, and career as work, which most people see it, most students, most career centers, you're going to see this, is a predominant view. That concerns me. So in 2011, I decided at a presentation for the Society for Vocational Education. It happened to be held at Boston University. I was asked to give a presentation, and I said, let's make this easy. Career is simply giving care, C-A-R-E, the first 4 letters in the word career. And when you give care, which is giving yourself, your skills, interests, and values, through caring experiences, this results in an automatic energy release. That's the ER in career. Career plus ER equals career. It's an expansion of my earlier paradigm. And I'll talk more about energy release later on, but that's basically how care came about in 2011. And basically, when you do that, through these caring experiences, it occurs across 9 life roles that people play throughout their journey from birth to death. I think Dawn Super's done a great job of delineating the various roles. I used to talk about them with my students in 76, 77, 78, when we started a group for men in transition experiencing divorce and things like that. But I love his rainbow model of the life roles. I do disagree with his annuitant role, his role that he says when you stop working, you retire. He calls it the annuitant because it's not a role. You don't put time and energy into that. You put time and energy into your leisure role or your volunteer role or your spouse role. So I've replaced that role with a role that you'll see coming up as we discuss it. Well, I'll tell you now, it's called Life in Transition. I'll talk about that. So career life promotes wellness. It's a wellness model. I don't think career as money is a wellness model. I think it's a stress model.
Yeah.
So it promotes wellness across 9 roles. Now, this is a very interesting slide here. The process of caring, when you give care to anyone, giving yourself knowledge, think of a mother breastfeeding, she giving herself, and there's an exchange of endorphins and endorphins throughout her system through that exchange with her infant. Well, it's the same thing when you're taking care of someone who's near death and dying. It's the same thing as when you're committed to work with graduate students, as Stephanie is, the same thing as when you're in a spouse partner relationship. It's the same thing when you have a job you love, or when you're doing a hobby that you enjoy, or going out with good friends. When you give of yourself, there's an immediate energy release. The energy release across life roles results in either positive or negative hormones that affect gene activity. It's called gene expression. The latest research proves this out. And self-actualization, happiness, is a byproduct of the actual release of one's true self-energy. When you give care, there's a release of these endorphins, and that's really the basis. So I've really brought this into gold standard medical research, and the references are in a lot of the publications that I've done in the book chapters so that you have on your list.
That reminds me of something else too that I've recently been reading, some existential things by Rollo May, and it just really parallels nicely the biological kind of perspective you're taking with the endorphins and the chemicals and gene expression. The whole idea that self-expression leads to self-actualization is echoed in this very not biological sort of perspective too. And
excellent. Yeah, excellent. So I think we're all coming together and realizing that we're just on the wrong track looking at careers as just tied to work, because it just affects everything we do in our colleges, our counseling, our high school preparation, everything. Work critical, but boy, these students are playing many other life roles at the same time, and we're not addressing that. And that ties into mental health concerns and things like that.
Yes.
So career as money promotes illness, anxiety, stress. It's not good. It affects all life roles. And that's the slide that represents that. Whereas career life promotes wellness across all major life roles, and that's a whole different approach. And there's the slide that shows balance. We each navigate this journey with our most precious gift, which is called self-knowledge. I use a pyramid and have been doing that since November 1978. That's when I actually developed DOVE, Depth-Oriented Values Extraction. I drew a first pyramid, and all my work just came out from a client who said, Ed, help me find why I'm here on the planet or my purpose or something. She was a single mom, 2 kids, about 5 years younger than me, and suddenly, after 10 or 12 years of searching for a way to get into someone's heart, I kind of instantly knew, because she said the right question to me. Most students said, give me a test. And why? Well, the test will tell me what I'm going to be. And I revolt against that. All the answers are within the student, within the client. So if you get anything out of this session, realize you have a lot of research you'll be doing and theories, but the expert in the room with you is the client. Your job is to help them look at themselves and reflect, because inside them are the answers that you can help them see. You give them their vision back that way. So
that's so true across all counseling.
That's exactly right. So career equals work, and this is I've pulled these slides together from other slides and presentations I've done, and I like this one. Society Beliefs and Practices, B&P, says career is work. Get a 4-year degree. That equals success, job, money, and home. We translate that to our students, our clients, our young people, even in high school and middle school. A lot of pressure. Too many parents and educators and policymakers have such a belief system. They even say, why discuss career, which is their job, equals work, with early K-6, they're too young. We absolutely can discover and discuss interest in children when they're very young. And K-6 is not too young to start and have great, simple, easy, age-appropriate discussions with young children. Too many of these same people, parents, educators, policymakers, say, why discuss career with high school students who really need a 4-year school? All high school students don't need a 4-year school. There are so many jobs, upwards of 60 or 70%, that require only a community college degree, and some excellent paying occupations too. Certain fields absolutely mandate even postdoctoral work. So it's really helpful to understand not only who a person is, help a client understand that, but also understand self-knowledge. What is their Holland Code? Something you're going to be learning in graduate school if you already haven't learned it. How to access a true Holland Code. Stephanie's doing that through collage work, which is very exciting and intriguing. And I do it with fantasies, and I've used some collage work as well.
Yes, yeah, and there are other methods that are also posted in the course website for those interested in accessing the true Holland identity.
Good. Okay, and also to be gainfully employed, some people are going to need a 4-year degree, a PhD, and as I said, a postdoc. Too many college staff, counselors, administrators, VPs of student affairs, deans of students, etc., say, why discuss career with entering college students? They aren't ready to write resumes yet. I've heard that from deans, from vice president of student affairs, and sadly from career counselors. No, they don't visit our career center really. We don't do much work with them in the beginning because they're really not ready. They're taking majors and discovering majors, and then they'll come in to write their resumes. That is such an outdated response, and it's from all over the United States, and literally it's around the world. People in Japan, people in Australia are facing this. There are pockets of very excellent programs, but most of us are not doing it.
Can I jump in and just say that you're really speaking to a topic that I cover in a presentation for our incoming students at the University of Florida. I actually the students and the parents about the importance of starting early with career planning, because career development doesn't begin once you are deciding exactly what to do with your life. That process builds over a long, long time. So we really reinforce that.
Good, and that's good. You're including that, and we need to get graduate students understanding that and believing in that, and then practicing that.
Yeah.
So then, anyway, as we continue this traditional and dangerous paradigm, I think debt's going to increase, continue, and lots of millions of families, not just students, it's the parents who are in debt as well as the students. And it's going to leave people underemployed, if employed at all. And it's time for a change, a real change of perception. So I'm going to change the slide to say, hey, here's the career life paradigm. Focuses on self-knowledge. Humans are biochemical electromagnetic entities, 60 to 90 trillion cells. That's a lot of energy. All these cells contribute to your unique talents, your personality. Many people believe three factors shape this: environment, heredity, and a spiritual factor. Research does support environment and heredity. Research in medical wellness and counseling literature also supports a relationship among people's search for meaning and purpose, and spirituality and spiritual wellness. So
Yes.
all of this affects who we are, our special callings, all that we bring to the rest of ourselves living on planet Earth. All of these unique gifts make up your self-knowledge pyramid. You now know how to, we can classify that in terms of the Holland 6 types, absolutely. So questions, who are you? You ought to be asking this about yourself and your clients. Why are you here? Why are you supposed to, what are you supposed to be doing while you're here? And how and when do you do this? The career life paradigm involves opportunity to give and receive care in various life roles. And care is given and received, and the energy occurs, a release occurs across all these life roles. And happiness and fulfillment is basically a byproduct of the release of the energy, which either won't occur if you're in the wrong role, wrong relationship, wrong job, wrong friends, will occur if you're in the right friends. And when your energy is blocked, a second energy kicks in, which is cortisol, which is released and put through your body like Niagara Falls to infinity. And it's a wellness situation versus a non-wellness. And you don't want all that cortisol rushing through your body. So here we are, our clients and ourselves, looking for other pyramids or rainbow bands using Dawn's rainbow. Where do I fit? Do I fit here? And we go around, and sometimes at nighttime is the best part in pain in our life to discover truth, because when you're running through a forest in the day, oh, it's easy to run through the forest or the desert, but at night you're not going to run. Why? You could drop in a hole, a cavern, hit a stone, hit a tree, kill yourself. So the dark night of the journey is beautiful because you slow down, and that's why pain can lead to purpose.
And those are times that our clients may really come find us too.
Absolutely. Exactly, Stephanie. And help, don't be afraid to challenge your clients to look at their pain and understand it a little bit. Just talk about it, give a safe environment for them. We'll get that into maybe question 3 a little bit more. So anyway, when we really discover our specialness and everything, then we're able to, even in that dark night, find out, this is the right environment for me. And career life focuses on giving care, and the energy release does result in positive or negative hormones, and the byproduct is happiness. Dawn uses rainbows. I like using that as well. When I first met him, I said, you know what gives color to your rainbow model is my pyramid of self-knowledge. It's the same thing. I just like using both models now. And when you use the pyramid model, you can actually tie it into the rainbow, and you'll see the next slide. This is really an animated slide, but it probably won't come up as animated. It's coming up in about a second. It just won't show the animation. When I'm doing this in a PowerPoint in a live presentation, it comes up, but it probably is not going to come up in an animation here.
Okay, well, we'll hopefully be able to get a verbal description of what that would typically look like.
So as this is Dawn's rainbow, I've replaced the annuitant role up here with life in transition. And this just shows you that the color in a person is where the color comes out in a rainbow, if there's nothing blocking that. But the next slide, and you can start and stop a role at any time in your life. Most of us are playing multiple roles throughout our life. The next slide will show the same bright pyramid. It's exactly the same person with great color. They may be going through all kinds of situational problems and just having a tough time with life, but it doesn't mean the color in them is gone. It just means the choices they're making and the environments are not letting them express their energy. And that's when career as care still works, because you're not able to express who you are out here. And when you're not able to express this, it leads to sadness, anxiety, depression, anger, could even lead to suicide ideation, and ultimately suicide with some people.
Let me jump in with another connection for the students here. So this idea kind of ties in with the person environment fit, which comes up early in career courses. So you already have some idea of looking at the person's characteristics, and that is the idea in Ed's pyramid here, is those personal characteristics, and then he's talking about the ability of those to be expressed in that environment. So he's talking about that fit, whether that environment allows the expression of the type of care that that person has to offer, which are kind of in the form of their values, their interests, and their skills.
Exactly, perfectly stated. And when that cannot be expressed, we share this, and we all know what constipation's about, don't we, folks? and we have an emotional and a spiritual constipation, which is totally unhealthy. Here are the 9 life roles. You should recognize them. I've created some instruments that are very simple to take, and I've included in them my last role, which you see with the green dot here. Life in transition, which is the near-death and dying experience every human being deals with, and counselors need to be able to talk about this openly, because it could come up at any situation: a parent, a grandmother, a friend, a relative, a child, a spouse, whatever. Mm-hmm. So visually, wrong environment. Oops. This looks like that's a better environment. It'll let me grow and in work and other roles. The right environment allows me to express my energy, contribute my talents to others, gives me a sense of meaning and purpose, that I count, I matter, and then resulting in a measure of self-actualization and happiness. And so it's really a wellness model I'm talking about. And it especially values is really the key part of this. This is Dewey. Child's interests are signs and symptoms of growing power. Listen to that word, power. Dawning capacities that prophesy the stage upon which he or she is about to enter. Marie Montessori, take time to read her autobiography. She talks about the spirit of that child that can't be marred. You have to protect it. And when I was created Dove, and many years later, someone said, you should write about this. And when I started doing research for my 2000 article in the American Psychological Association book, which is on your handout list, and also my Career Development Quarterly article, I discovered that Rogers said there are 2 value systems. And I had just discovered in '78, there's an expressed and an implied value system. And then when I did research, Rogers in '64 discovered there's a conceived, which you conceive from others. You take them on as yours. They're not really you, and it causes depression, anxiety. It takes long time therapy to figure that out, he says. Then there's operative, which are organismic kinds of values, deep within the organism. And then I found out in my research that several years after me, James Fowler did a lot of spiritual counseling and research, and he found that there's assumptive and tacit. Assumptive are like Rogers' conceived values and my expressed values. What are your values? You list them and you think you know them. They're in your consciousness. They're not. There's a tacit, as Fowler calls them, that's deep within you, which is the operative values, which are my implicit or hidden values. So anyway,
connects a lot with discussions that the class has around values too, and discovering through a values card sort the struggle of identifying those values. So I think you're labeling, giving some names to some things the students are experiencing.
Yeah, good. Okay, exactly. So anyway, depth-oriented values extraction, DOVE, and the fundamentals are here. I'm quoting super, values are the cornerstone of career life choices, stars to steer by. That's what Don feels. Thought and emotion are linked to values. There's a biochemistry or belief system. That's why there's a whole biochemistry, medical, psychobiological tie-in to all of the work we do in career and life counseling. It's very exciting. Blocked energy can result in lack of purpose. That's a powerful statement. Hopelessness, even depression, and compromised immunocompetence. Work values can be delineated into 2 categories, expressed and implied. And I think all values can. I've written about that as well. And most people make career life work-related choices based on their conscious expressed values, what they think are important to them, and implied work values are most often unavailable. And I found a way to get that out, which is by examining persons' interests and reasons for interest. Stephanie's also discovering that through her collage work, helping people create a collage, and then what's important to you. And as they draw this or paint it or whatever, I've had clients paint amazing things because they have a hard time expressing words. And I've kept some of these paintings. They're like artwork. They're watercolors that are amazing. And collages and all that work Stephanie's doing is very exciting.
Yeah, so for the students watching, this is something that is one way of getting at that. The dove and the collage are two different ways of getting at the values that are a little more implicit and less conscious for the person. But there are a lot of other creative ways that you can do that. And creativity just kind of helps to get rid of that logical part of our mind that knows which values we should be saying. And it helps us to get to those underlying values when we use those creative, less logical, more kind of intuitive approaches. So there are a lot of different ways that you may come up with as you kind of develop as counselors.
Right, and to dovetail what Stephanie just said, the logical mind often is tied into ego, which is tied into false self, which is tied into false belief systems. And that's the challenge we have as all counselors, to really deal with that openly with clients. So, you know, 3 types of work paths: job that pays the bill, one that provides meaning and purpose and pays the bills, or one that's moving between 1 and 2. And it's important to protect resilience, life balance, and you know, reflect on true self, create balance among life roles, evaluate time and energy, make adjustments, live your core values and passion once you find them out, and cultivate your spiritual life. Very important things to do. Most important part of the work is values. So a couple of questions for you graduate students. You want to work just something that gives you money, or work with money and work-life balance? Or how about work-life balance, money, but something with meaning and purpose? You don't have to answer that now, but you ought to be looking at that seriously. And basically, making wise, informed career life choices is a lifelong process. As we experience this career life journey, the most successful parts of the journey we all take, and your clients will take, will most likely involve collaboration with others and involve authentic relationship based on integrity, and the key word, empathy and love. That's the key thing we have to do in counseling. Really try to walk and try to feel what that other person's feeling to allow them to open up. And we've seen the movie Avatar, I see you. What better way is there to tell someone you love them? I see you. That you're just accepting them and seeing them. That's a beautiful thing. So I'm going to end the slideshow with this. We're on the verge of unemployment evolving to the unemployable, and youth are our future. Career life moves us towards a wellness growth model and helps people learn how to engage purpose across life roles and achieve more balance. And I have these 2 slides up that, if it's appropriate, I'll come back to them. It's some stuff about empathy, but right now I'm going to take this off. And I think at this time, Stephanie, should I just briefly look at the handout and show them what that handout is very briefly?
You know, I think that that's something that really complements what you've been talking about. So I don't feel as if we need necessarily to go through that unless you feel a strong need to do that, because you've explained things so well with this.
And hopefully you'll print it out. I won't click on that, but in the handout there is a, I'm holding one in my hand, and hopefully you, please read the whole thing. There's an introduction, and it's kind of what we want to take clients through. This is part of something I've developed for a PhD student who just completed a thesis on a values interpretation. So I've used this with that student. If some of you are interested in that, or if Stephanie is, call me up and I'll be glad to work with you on some of this stuff. Now, how did that come up? Was that you?
Just to give people a quick preview, this is what the handout that he's talking about looks like.
Yeah.
And that is available on the course site, and we can make sure that you get to check this out, because it does have many of the resources that Ed has mentioned, and also has some additional images and lists to further the ideas that he talked about.
Can you go to there's the formula. Can you go to the next page real quick? You're so good at this, Stephanie, much better than I am. Yeah, that's the title of that. If you can get to the title of that again.
Bigger?
Yeah, the Career Life Assessment Action Inventory. This is a very powerful little inventory. And it talks about the 9 life roles as I've worded them. And you can see, taking this on your own, you'll enjoy it. It'll open up this. And if you want to use this with your graduate students, or Stephanie, if you do, or you graduate students want to use this, write me. I'm very approachable. We can work something out. and let you use it and field test it with some of your clients. It has a little action plan. It's in one page. I also have one that is a spirit. If you go to the references, just slowly right there, you can see that 2014. There's one, the care one I just showed you, but also that's the.
Is that the one?
Yeah, there's that one, and then there's one that I used that has the first one that you did is the spiritual life journey. I bring a lot of spirituality into it, no matter what your faith tradition is. And the second one is the one that I've included in your handout for you to take yourself. If you want to use it, please call me. And then the next thing, there are 2 live links where you can see how this can be brought into marriage counseling and divorce situations and things like that with an article. So there's a whole bunch of things there, and we don't have to spend any more time in that, I guess, Stephanie. But please enjoy the handout, and if you have questions, I'm very approachable. You can email me and talk, just like Stephanie did.
Yeah, students, I definitely, Ed is encouraging you to reach out to him. He's a longtime professional in the career field, and I'm sure that you would be able to learn some good things from him if you wanted to reach out. He's been very communicative with me, and so that could be a really great partnership opportunity for you just to learn from someone who knows a little more about the field you're getting into. You know, whether you're a career person or not, these things are valuable. I hope you've seen the connections. And so, you know, maybe to just kind of close us up, Ed, and finish this up in a nice way, maybe you can just kind of summarize in a couple sentences, or, you know, maybe a couple slides that I think you have, how you see the overlap between non-career counseling work and career counseling work. Since most of our students probably won't identify as career counselors, how can you bring that relevance out to highlight it?
Okay, good. So I'm going to go back and tell me, did I do this right?
You're still in your slides.
Am I showing slides?
You are showing your slides. Yep.
Good. Okay.
I see you.
So I'm going to just say a few things. First of all, there are overlaps to what we do in all counseling. We facilitate awareness of self-knowledge. So an emphasis area we want to maybe focus on is being more conscious about facilitating clients being more fully aware, more aware of their self-knowledge. Everyone has self-knowledge. Everyone does. And you have to believe in that. But then our challenge is to help them become more aware of their powerful self-knowledge. Again, an overlap, offering safe environment for honest sharing. Well, do that, and remember to do it in a safe, collaborative, non-judgmental environment for honest sharing based on empathy. Another overlap is with all counseling is providing clients the opportunity to identify challenges they face. The emphasis I would make is let's provide clients the opportunity to identify challenges they face, including helping them explore other challenges they might not be aware of at a conscious level. So if someone comes in for career counseling and they're unhappy in their job, something's missing, they're distracted, they're dealing with a little bit of an illness with their spouse, and you find out the spouse has Alzheimer's, the family's not talked about it, the spouse has never seen a doctor, and the person starts crying and realizes, my God, I'm losing my best friend for life, and we haven't even dealt with it effectively. So you talk about that for 10, 12 sessions maybe. That's career life counseling, and you make appropriate references. Another area is is an overlap, helping clients clarify belief systems they identify as hindering the life journey. The emphasis would be, do that, but be aware of career life, because there are things hindering maybe their life journey across different life roles, and everything you do in one role affects other roles and the other life roles of everyone with whom they interact. And basically helping clients increase their ethics beliefs so they can really find their inner voice and respond appropriately, not out of fear, but from a deep inner wisdom that we know as truth. It's like true self versus false self. Career is not reality. People have more life roles, and viewing career as only paid work demeans other life roles. All people play a minimum of 4 to 5 life roles, sometimes 8 or 9 when that life in transition role is being played by us because someone is passing on or is about in a death and dying situation. Career as only work is a dangerous concept because it fosters an unhealthy, inordinate focus on earning income to the detriment of other life roles and a balanced life. Career as paid work is a narrow and limited non-wellness model. career life as a wellness model that honors all roles that most people play daily. And it's important to do that. When a young or older individual is not sufficiently aware of the 9 life roles, they will not be able to sufficiently have balanced lives or create strategies to effectively negotiate their time and energy. The same 168 hours we all have for our common life journey, a life journey where the constant is always change. Dealing with this changing life situation requires not merely self-knowledge, because we all have it. It means being more fully aware of that self-knowledge, our skills, interests, and values in creative ways, the way that Stephanie's doing it, and all of you have good ideas, and hopefully some of my ideas will influence you. And I'm going to close with this. Our values affect every career life choice we have made, are making, and will make. That's the core of self-knowledge. That's why I've devoted my life to helping uncover these values. Throughout the entire life journey, even during our life and transition role that involves a loved one or one that is facing death, then this becomes a main critical goal, this values work for anyone in the caregiving profession, to facilitate the discovery of what really is most important to our clients, their values, so they can optimize themselves, become their greatest potential, and contribute their special gifts to the rest of us and our families, our community, our nation, and our common planet, because we all live in this beautiful planet, our multicultural humanity into which we have evolved. It is indeed a magnificent humanity, I believe, because each of us humans and every client you will meet as graduate students in your work has magnificence within them. Our job is to help them see themselves. As we learned from the movie Avatar, the best way to love someone is to honestly say, I see you. So I'm going to basically show you these 2 slides as Stephanie will make some closing comments. You can have the link to Clara Hill. It's on this slide, which is in your, not in your handout. And these are just some things that Clara Hill talks about. And I'm going to now take myself off screen share, hopefully successfully, very quickly. Let me see. I got really good tutoring from Stephanie. She's amazing. Did I do it right?
Thank you.
I told Stephanie earlier, if I were in space, like Apollo 13 or the Mars shot, if you've seen Matt Damon and Mars, I would so want Stephanie to be on the ground to bring me home, because she could do it.
Yeah, we had some tech coaching going on in the background of this one. I think you've got us seeing you, and if I can speak on behalf of the class, Ed, we appreciate you letting us see you and your life's work and the care that you're showing for clients who are not even your clients. You're showing care for our students and our students' clients. So thank you so much for giving us this work and walking us through it. And I think that we can see that among your values that guide your work are definitely care, teaching, and a great understanding of life and its transitions and its many, many roles that are important in it.
Thank you very much. It's been my honor to meet you, Stephanie, and to also meet your graduate students this way. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and close out the broadcast. Students, feel free to contact me with any questions, and also feel free to contact Ed. I think that he would be really happy to reach out or have you reach out to him and talk about these ideas any further if you have more questions. Okay, well, thank you.
Bye-bye.